Alrighty, so tonight let's start off with the G major as we usually. Oh, there's Susan. That's great. Everybody's coming. Excellent. COVID times, and everybody got. Hey, here's a fun fact about our house. Jennifer has COVID, which kind of sucks. Yeah, but she's doing fine. She's not she's a little bit tired and a little bit achy. And stuff like that, but really she's doing just fine. We're very lucky. She does have 3 vaxes in her, so that does help. I don't know where we got it. We haven't gone anywhere since we got back from Nova Scotia. There's been like 2 places we've gone. The kids got their second dose, so a vaccine clinic. I didn't go there. And Jennifer went to the grocery store, and that was it. So there's 2 places that you could have got it. But anyway, I tested negative, and so did the kids. So it was just Jennifer so far, and so far so good. But we certainly cannot go anywhere. We have to stay inside the house until Thursday, and then Jennifer can do a test and see if she's still positive, and if not, then we can start kind of getting out. But anyway, so that's the news at the McSteven house. Is we have COVID. And it's proven to be not as bad as I thought it might be. Hi, Sherry. You're a new face. That's Sherry. This is everybody.
Hi, I had to unmute.
It's all right. No problem.
The new link.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So we're going to start off with our G major. Let's get this fiddle rattling here. I got to check my tuning because it's a very dry house at this Ronald Avenue house here. Good. She's rattling good. Okay, so we're going to try G major in 2 octaves and the arpeggio and the double stops, and then we're going to try A major in 2 octaves. Okay, so G major first. Let's give it a go. Ready? Go. Okay, mine went pretty good. Hopefully yours did too. Let's try the arpeggio. Same speed. Ready? Go. I'm going to do that arpeggio again because I had a sharp B on the G string. My G was a bit sharp, so I'm going to do it again right away. Ready? Go. Much better for me that time. Now we're going to try doing those 2 things, scale and arpeggio, but we're going to go a bit faster, okay? And I want this to be a tester. So everybody that feels good at the end of their faster G major, scale and arpeggio, I want you to give me a thumbs up. So that means it was just as good as the slow, okay? If it's not just as good as the slow, I want you to try to identify which notes gave you problems when we went fast, okay? Because we're going to do it again, and I want you to focus on those notes and forget about the rest. So let's do it. So we're going to do it about this fast. Okay? A 1, 2, 3, go. All right, now I gave myself about a 95 on that one, 95%, because it really did, for some reason, it was all in tune, okay? How about you guys? Who feels good about their faster? Oh, thumbs. Thumbs everywhere. That's great. Well then, let's do it again right away. A 1, 2, 3, go. Arpeggio, ready, go. All right, mine was pretty good. It was held in there pretty good. Who feels good second time around? Feeling good? It's great. So that's the way to do it, guys. You test yourself with the fast. It tells you what you need to work on. You go back to the slow. You work on those notes. And you know, when you're getting to know these keys on the fiddle, you have to get to know all the notes involved in the key, you know. And by the time they say that by the time you're done as a violinist, you should know, really, really know very well all the 57 or 59 notes that are available on your violin, you know, even the dusty end of the fingerboard there. For us fiddle players, we don't need to worry about all those 59 notes. I would say there's probably about 30 or so that we really have to worry about. So it makes our job a little easier, but I still find that the same rule applies. You have to get to know the quality of these notes, what they sound like when they're in tune, what they sound like when they're not quite in tune. I was working with somebody today who's a good fiddle player. She's getting much better, but she's still at this point. She made me a recording, and then when I listened to the recording and I talked to her, I was like, you know, it was good. It was a little bit flat overall. And she was like, well, we have to do something about it because I did not hear that at the time, you know? And it's such a common problem. So one of the things that I talked about with her, and I talk about with many people, is the sound of flatness and the sound of sharpness. So flatness has this depressed sound, a sad sound. And I'll show you what I mean. I can't remember what tune I was using, but... So here's Cooley's Reel, and it's in tune. Okay, that's all real nicely in tune. Now I'm going to play the whole thing a little bit flat. Now you hear how that kind of diminishes, first of all, the amount of sound coming out of your fiddle. Well, I'll do it again, side by side. Here's in tune. Now you must have heard that brighten up from this to this. See that? So that's your first kind of sign. So here it is in tune again. Okay, now here it is flat. There, that's reasonable. Now you see how that kind of lowered the volume and quality of what I was doing, okay? Now it's in tune again. So that was in tune again to cleanse your palate. Now I'm going to play it sharp. Now you notice to me, that sharp sound it assaults my ear. It's uncomfortable. It has an edge. It makes me do this. Whereas the flat, you know, when I'm listening to the flat, maybe it's just because I'm used to it, because I've been teaching fiddle for so long. But I just kind of, I hear the flat and I just kind of is like, okay, you know what I mean? But with the sharp, it's an active kind of like, oh, like that. So I find that difference there. And then being in tune means that the fiddle is working properly. So I always refer to that as the sun coming out, you know, and you've been playing flat and you finally get it up into tune. The fiddle is working right. It's putting out the frequencies like it should, and it's like the sun coming out, okay? So that's what you want to look for when you go fast, because you can't tune every note, right? Especially us fiddle players. We're playing eighth notes at 120 beats a minute. We're never going to be able to tune them all. So you go for a kind of an overall sound, all right? Now let's do that G major scale and arpeggio fast once more, and I want you guys to all listen for that sound in your own playing. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and. I was really good that time. The high part of my scale, the last couple of notes were a bit sharp. Otherwise, I was bang on. How do you guys feel? Did you hear your fiddle working properly? For the most part? Keep working on it. You know, nobody's ever bang on in tune all the time. Anyway, now, double stops in the key of G. So I wrote them out. Does anybody still need the double stops in the key of G? Yes. Okay. I'm just going to put together an email here. So that's Sherry and Deborah and Mel. Who else? Bev. Anybody else? Yeah, Jocelyn and Susan. Okay. Bev, Jocelyn and Susan. Okay, I had originally written these double stops out in tablature, you know, like E1 or G2 and open D and open G, and then one of the guys in my beginner class, Bill Surfless, he's also in the Celtic Orchestra. He just sent me an email that says, "This makes no sense to me." So I wrote it out regular and sent it to him and everybody else. Anyway, so you guys should have that now. D major or G major double stops. And it's just a handwritten PDF. There. And so what it is this. Now, just to review the double stops we're doing in the key of G. There are many double stops that you can do in the key of G, like a million double stops. But we kind of focus on the bare basics to get started. So the bare basics are open D and open G, B and D, so that's G2 and open D, opens again, D3 and open G. Now this one's a hard one. You keep that D3 down and you play A1 with it. That's a third, right? They call it the bluegrass double stop. And then the top of it is a hard one you got the octave. That's A3 and open D together. And then the top one is the hardest one. A3 and E2. That's a G and a D. And that's what it sounds like when it's in tune. It's called a fourth because the notes are 4 notes apart. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's kind of like the fifth. It has this quality when it's at a tune, you can really hear it. See, and you bring it in, and it clicks in. See, even if you don't have a tuner, it clicks in. So that's a really good one. Really good. Very useful, but difficult. So you want to practice that one a lot. That's why there's only one, okay? And then we come down the same way. Octave, third, octave, fifth, third, and the fifth again. Okay, and that's how they work. Yes, Deborah, I can see you shaking your head at the screen.
You saying octaves and fifths and thirds means nothing to me at this point.
I'm hoping that it will when we're done.
At one point it will, because you're not the first teacher to say that to me this week.
Well, so the fifth, your strings are tuned in fifths. So whenever you play two open strings together, that's a fifth. Okay? And we do that a couple of times in this key, in the key of G. The third is when the notes are 3 notes apart. So the second double stop in this pattern is a B on the G string and an open D. 3 notes apart. See that? That's a third. Okay? And then the other one I talked about, which is the other third, is D3 and A1. So that's a G and a B. Again, they're 3 notes apart. That's another third. See that? And then the top one is the fourth. 4 notes apart. A3 and E2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how that works. Oh, Simone. Oh, good. Okay, does that help, Deborah? It's the type of thing you learn a little bit at a time, you know? Like, I didn't really know about intervals until I started playing with singers. Then it became very important to know what key I was in and what double stop I was playing, and then I learned it. But it comes a little bit at a time. You start with your open strings. They're a fifth apart. You start there, and then when you put down one finger, you know that that's a fourth, right? Because you've subtracted a note from the interval. And then you put down 2 fingers, that's a third. You see what I mean? You just kind of get to know it after a while. But we'll just focus on these few to start off with, okay? So, hi Simone. So let's give it a go. And we usually do 2 bows per each set of double stops. So it sounds like this. Just for the practice, all right? So 2 bows, a down bow and an up bow for each couple of notes, all right? Starting with open D and open G. Nice and slow. Ready, go. B. Octave. Oh, sorry, I screwed up that time. Let's do it again. I always forget the second time we play the open strings. Okay, let's do it again. Ready, go. Third. Fifth again. Octave. Third. Octave. Fourth at the top. Back to the octave. Back to the third. Back to the octave. Opens. Third. Opens. Now that looked like it kind of worked a little bit, except Deborah was still wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I think. Now, so I'm going to get this up on my screen here, and so just so I can explain exactly what's going on, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, I didn't seem to get the attachment. I got the email, but I don't know if anybody else, whether Melanie or Susan or Sherry got it.
I'll look here and see.
please, thanks.
Forward it.
Yeah, I got the attachment.
Okay,
I got
good.
the attachment as well.
Okay, good. Okay, I just forwarded it again to you, Bev. So I'm sharing my screen now, and here's my.
Are we missing one chord there?
Let's see if. Let me see. I'm just gonna.
That's at the end.
Oh yes! Oh my God! Yes, I screwed it up. I missed one. It's like putting together that IKEA bed, man. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna show you here. So we got this is open G and open D together. Okay. This is G2. That's your low B on the G string. G2 and open D together. Okay. And then we got the opens again. Open D and open G. And then we got D3 and open G. They're both G's. That's the octave. Okay. Then we got the third here. That's A1 and D3. That's a third. A1, D3. Another octave. A3, open D. Excuse me. Two D's there. A3 and open D. And then the top is A3 and E2. That's the fourth. That's the hardest one among them. Then we go back to the octave. A3 and open D. Back to the third. A1 and D3. Okay. And then we got the octave here again, D3 and open G. That's both G's. And then we got that's where I forgot to put the open strings in again there. You would do that there. And then you got the third, G2 and open D. And the fifth to finish again, the open strings. Okay? So let's give her one more try now that I've explained that. And it should go way better. And like I said, we'll take our time. We'll do 2 long bows for each set of double stops. No reason to be in a rush. Ready, go. G2. Opens again. Octave. D3A1. A3 open D. And then A3 E2. Back to the octave, A3 open D. A1 D3. D3 open G. Opens. G2. Open, open. Yeah, that looked better. Better for you, Deborah? You understanding now? Good. Now, these double stops in this key that I've showed you here are ones that I use all the time when I'm playing a tune in the key of G or in E minor, very similar, okay? So when I'm playing that too, like I play maybe... See that? See, very, very useful. Any one of them you can use in this key, you know? Anytime you come across one of those notes, you can use these double stops in a tune, okay? Does that help? Let's do one more go with the double stops. One more go, and then we'll move on. We'll play, I'd like to practice a tune in the key of G. I don't know which one we've done. We'll have to look and see how we get along, okay? So let's do those double stops one more time. Opens to start. Ready, go. 2. Open. 3. A1. A3 open D. open D. A1, D3. D3 open G. Opens. G2 open D. And open. All right. Now that is looking like people are getting along better. The one at the top, the fourth at the top, is very difficult. Don't get discouraged if your first couple of attempts at it don't work out, because people spend a long time working on the fourth. My best advice, if you're having trouble getting it in tune, tune the D first. Okay, now that's my kind of go-to for any double stop, is you tune the bottom voice first. Okay, I don't know why, it's a lot easier. In this case, the advantage is that you can use the string to make sure that D is in tune, and then it's really easy. See that? As long as that D is in tune, you bring the G in, and there's no mistaking when the fourth clicks in. Okay, watch this. I'm going to play it, and I want you guys to nod or give me a thumbs up when you hear that fourth come into tune. Okay? See, that's perfect, and you're not even using a tuner. So that's why that's such a valuable one. Okay, everybody straight on those? I'll give you some time to work on them, because double stops are hard. Always remember that it's angle and not force that gives you the two strings. Yes, Deborah?
So, okay, so I know the arpeggio, so it's what you call the bottom note, right? Okay. So the note that you're playing it with for the double stop is the next note following?
Sometimes, not always, but yeah, usually. And that's the way arpeggios work. Like, when you play an arpeggio in a key, right, any two of those notes from the arpeggio can be played together, and they'll sound harmonic.
So what you're showing us means we could change it.
Oh God, yes, there are so many.
Okay.
This is just a baseline of double stops that'll get you started using them, because there are many. There are so many double stops you can play in this key and in any other key. But this is it uses the arpeggio that you're already practicing, and so it's a good way to get into it.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out the pattern so I don't have to think about it.
Oh, I know. And the problem is there's so many possible patterns. But if you stick, like you say, if you stick to the arpeggio and what's coming after it, you should get along pretty easy with a little bit of practice. Okay? We'll check in with it again next week. Double stops is a mission I'm on these days, because I have so many students that I've taught for a long time that still struggle. And they want to get the double stops in there, it's such a good part of the music. It's such an easy way to dress up a tune. So we'll keep working on it. Now, let's see. Let's pick a tune in the key of G or in the key of E minor that we can use to practice this G major that we've been doing. Now, let's think of a tune that we did in the past. So did we ever do Swallow Tail Jig? We did. Oh, that's great. Well, why don't we practice the swallowtail then? Because it's the same shape as the key of G. Oh, I missed a chat. Tune. Oh, your fiddle's out of tune, Melanie. Where's Melanie? Oh, she left. Oh, she couldn't get her fiddle in tune. Oh, what a drag. She said she had it in tune this afternoon, but now it's really bad. Can't seem to get it back. Very frustrating. I wish I had noticed that note. I could have helped her. Anyway, it's okay. So the swallowtail jig. Okay, about that fast. Let's do it a few times. And you can pay attention to the double stops that I'm doing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. this tune I do a fifth. One finger on the D string and the A string. See that? Very, very nice one to do in E minor. Anyway, how did everybody get along playing the Swallowtail? Is it okay? Do you think it could stand going a little faster? Do you think there's anything in the way of going fast? Let's do it. Okay, get your helmet on and let's do it. 1, 2, 3. One more. Whew! Great all tune. All right, how's everybody feeling? Now, I noticed a couple of people had a couple of stumbles when we went fast. Anything systemic? Or is it just what they call in Ireland a stagger?
I had just a basic thing. Your pickup notes at the beginning are different than mine, so I kept throwing myself off. What do you do for a pickup note at the beginning?
I play a long E and a short F. See that?
Yeah. Okay.
Scale up to it, basically, is what I do. Yeah, good question. Anybody else have any bits or pieces that they need help with, or is it just to keep practicing it? Also, as they say in Ireland. Yes.
I was wondering, do you like follow just like straight bowing the whole time, or do you like do some
Slurs.
slurs?
There's a couple of slurs you do in a jig. Jigs are pretty well straight bowing because you got to get the jig rhythm in there. See that? Watch my right arm. See that? It's kind of like deckety, 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 deckety. But then, when you get to the quarter note followed by an eighth note, you have to slur that. So it's... See that? See, and in a jig, that is very, very common. Now, the thing is about jigs is that you really should be able to play a jig starting up or starting down. Like, if you watch me, I mean, I can do it. But so, I'll start that jig down. Now I'll start it up. No difference. See that? And it's because the jig rhythm, you really have to be able to go lumpity, lumpity. See that? Both ways. But your down bow is still your strongest note. So if I see that quarter note followed by an eighth note in the latter half of the measure, I will always slur it up so I can start that next phrase really nice and strong, down bow. See what I mean? Does that help, Simone? Excellent. Anybody else have questions or things that bother them or want to compliment my hair or anything like that? No? Don't blame you. Let's do it again a little quicker. Let's see what happens. And then we'll move on. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Feeling pretty good? All right, we'll keep working on it. It's a great tune, but it's one you never really get finished working on. Now, let's see. So last time did we work on Big John McNeil? We did. Oh, and we learned the Taylor's Twist, right? Let's work on that because D major is not far off of G major. It's only got one extra sharp. So we're kind of already in good shape to play the Taylor's Twist, okay? So let's see. I'm going to get it up on my screen so that I don't confuse anybody with my improvisation. Here it is. Yeah, and this is a good version. I remember I had to look a little bit to get a good version. There we go.
I really like this tune. It sounds good even slow.
It really does. It's a great tune. I used to play it a lot. I remember I learned it when I was living in the States because playing Irish is all they do down there. And I learned the Taylor's Twist, and it was kind of in my head. Now, it goes along with another great one. Maybe we'll take a look at it tonight if I can find a good version, called The Plains of Boyle. Have you guys ever heard of a tune called The Plains of Boyle? You have, Karen. Yeah, I'm sure you have. And it's a wicked tune. I love it. They go really well together. And when I was living in Ohio, I played a lot in Detroit, and they played those two tunes together, like as a rule. That's where I got them, you know? So, and it was in my head for a long time. It's a beautiful tune, and luckily it's not that hard. So, well, let's give it a try. We'll just play it together a good couple of times here, and make sure everybody's got it, you know, relatively okay. And then I'll take some questions, and we'll talk about what's hard and see if we can make some improvements. Okay? So we'll take her slow though. Kind of somewhere around that tempo. Okay, is that going to work? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Again. Excellent. Well, how's everybody getting along at that slow pace? Excellent. Anybody having any problems that I can help with before we try speeding it up a little bit? Yes, Sherry.
I have a quick question. What are you doing for the trills in the part B?
I'm doing rolls.
Oh, the rolls. Okay.
Have you ever tried to do a roll before?
Once maybe, but I forget. Like
It's
is it
not
one
really.
week
It's not
or
really how you
something?
roll. It's
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, got bad kid jokes.
I'm a note reader, so
Yeah. Okay. So you see, first of all, that little squiggle that's over the A in the B part.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That indicates a roll. Now, it doesn't always mean a roll. Sometimes it just means an ornament. Okay? But in this case, it is a roll, and there's no question about it because of the length of the note. Do you see how it's a dotted quarter note?
Yes.
That's how long a roll takes to go by. So when you see a dotted quarter note with a squiggle over it, you're like, oh, that's screaming out for a roll. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And a roll is the melody note. In this case, it's an A. The note above, they call that the grace note part. In this case, it's going to be a B. Okay?
Okay.
The melody note again. The note below, which in this case is going to be a G, right? And then the melody note to finish. So that's 5 notes altogether. And the rhythm of a roll is that you play the melody note at the beginning for the length of an 8th note before you start that finger work. So yum diddly dum. See that?
Yeah.
3 4 3 2 3, but it's yum diddly dum. 3 4 3 2 3, like that. So you hang on to the first part of the roll for an 8th note, at least an 8th note. Some people, like what's his name, Kevin Burke there, he waits till the absolute last minute to play the finger work. You know, a very lazy approach to the roll. Whereas Frankie Gavin, he blasts it all in right away. You know, and if he had time, he'd blast in 2 of them. It's just a different approach. But that time that you play the melody note before you ornament it is very, very universal and very important. And it's what stood in the way of me being able to play a roll for a good couple of years when I first moved to town. It was just a misunderstanding of the timing. Okay? So yeah, so 3 4 3 2 3. And then when you get to the next one, it's a G roll, a high G roll there. So that's going to be 2 3 2 1 2. Okay? And just to review, they sound like this. And the G roll would sound like this. See that? And if you speed up your bow in the middle just before you start the finger work, see that? You get that little chirp. See that?
Okay.
Yeah. So you can give it a try and see what you can do. If anybody here is working on their rolls, like they haven't done a lot of rolls in the past and they'd like to play more, my best advice is to practice them on a major scale. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. Anybody that can play rolls, do this with me, okay? I'm going to play a roll on each note of a G major scale. And it's going to be slow. Ready? And. Except the open strings. You can't do a roll on an open string. And you can do a weird fake roll, but let's not bother right now. Let's just use those as a break. Okay? Okay, so here we go. Ready? G. that's a scale with rolls. How did everybody do with that? Not bad, not bad. Oh, that's good, Karen. Terrible, Jocelyn? Oh, no. What's that?
I said yours sounded really nice.
Thank you. And you can use the recording. I'm recording this class, and I'll put it up on YouTube. So you can always go back to that for a reference of what it should sound like. Because as you guys know, a roll doesn't sound like that when you go fast, right? You don't hear those distinct notes. You just hear an interruption of the pitch that you're playing, which is what we're going for. But to get the timing and the fingering right, for me, I had to go slow. That was my only way that I could get it. Slow, 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 try fast. And I might have told these guys the story already of when I worked for the Irish Dancing Show, and I didn't know how to do rolls. So I was doing them. I would get to the theater, and I would practice just exactly what I just played for you guys in the dressing room. And I would play that and play that and play that. And then the show had the first tune of the night was this one. Really great tune, but it has that C roll. That was the first tune of the night, and so that would be my tester every night. So I'd practice them slow, 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 and I would sit down in front of 1,000 people and try to play that C goddamn roll. And if it didn't work out, if it had, because you got to play it like 4 times in the tune. So if it worked out 2 and not the other 2, then I would just kind of work on it some more. If it didn't work out at all, then I know I'd have to go back to the slow. Something not quite right in the slow. See what I mean? And it worked. Eventually, it went from this. The problem with this, like many things in our music, Scottish and Irish music, you can't do a roll slow. You can practice it slow, but when the 8th notes start flying around your helmet, you just have to flick and hope. That's what I call it, But the more time you spend on it slow, the more success you're going to have when you flick and hope. It's just the way it seems to be, Now, I had that show. I did it every night, and there were many rolls in the night where I could see how I was doing, and go back to the slow. But if you don't have that, then you just got to do it yourself. You just keep plugging away at the slow rolls, and when you get bored, try going faster. See what goes wrong, if anything. Hopefully nothing. Okay, does that answer your question? Yes.
When you're playing super fast, do you even have time to do all of that or no?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Because it actually saves time. That's the thing. So the tune that I use as an example is the Toss the Feathers in E minor. Have you guys ever heard that tune? Toss the Feathers in E. It's a wicked tune. Very common tune. Okay, that's Toss the Feathers. Wicked, wicked tune. And you can hear in the first part.
We played that.
Oh, did we?
With the drunken landlady.
Drunken landlady. Jeez, man. That's some good teaching. I'm glad I taught you guys that. But anyway, so in that tune, before I learned rolls, I used to do it like this. Because I'm a Cape Breton boy, and that's what we do, right? But then, once I learned that finger work of the left hand, you can go lightning fast. You see that? It saves so much time. I go from doing this to just a little bit of this here. And it saves a lot of time. Once you get the hang of it, it's like dribbling a basketball. That's the point I always make. So like so many things in our music, you can't practice dribbling a basketball slow, but you can go through the motions, right? And then once it gets under your hand, you just hope that all that work was useful. See what I mean? You get some momentum. So that it is a lot easier. It's a lot easier than right hand ornaments. Playing the left hand ornaments. It gets you through things. It turns this into one thing. See that? It turns a whole bunch of complicated stuff into 3 tricks that I do. So it does. It really is very useful for fast playing. All right. Anyway, cool. Well, that's a great question. Very, very good question, Sherry, about rolls. And we'll work on them. I realized that we should really spend some time on them. So maybe next time I'll make some recordings. I'll make recordings of rolls on the major scale and a few different ways I have to work on rolls, and we'll have a good go at them next week, you know. I want to hear everybody's roll. Some people can't even do it, you know. I couldn't do it. I moved to Toronto and I couldn't do it for a good couple of years. And it wasn't until I met this man here, Kim Vincent from PEI, and he was the one that helped me understand the rhythm. And that's what finally unlocked it for me, was the rhythm of the roll. Yum diddly dum. Because I was trying to do it all at once. And if there's any classical players in here, you know that that's called a turn, right? That's all at once. But we're not doing turns here. We're doing rolls. They're lazier and they have a rhythm. See that? It's a lot different. So anyway, so that might help. Very good question. With that being said, let's do it again, because now I forget all about what we were doing with the Taylor's Twist. Oh yeah, we're going to try to go a little bit faster. Somewhere around there. Let's see what happens. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. everybody looked like they were getting along just fine there, even in the fast. Everybody feeling okay? Deborah's going like this. It'll come along, it'll come along. And when we go fast, the biggest thing to keep in mind when you go fast is not to get all down on yourself about how you're doing, but just to try to identify what happened. You know, we were going a certain tempo and it was all going good. We go a little bit faster. What is it that happens? You know, that's kind of my mantra. What stopped you? Chances are it's a little misunderstanding. For me, it's always a misunderstanding of a pickup note or a connector phrase. I think it's one thing, but it's not. And it's fine when it's slow, but then when it's kind of really, really going fast, that kind of stops me and I have to figure it out, you know? Yes, Deborah?
Could you go over that phrasing again where we do the grace note on the F? Is it F? The G. We do the roll on the G. That rhythm after there is where I really mess up.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with that. I don't want to hold us up, but...
Oh, listen, it's a great question because that particular bar, it has a couple things going. It has a roll, and it also has that little triplet, right? And, you know, this is Irish, man. There's triplets everywhere, especially with hornpipes because it's a triplet-based tune. It's a triplet-based dance. So what you have there, if I was to count that out, it would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. See that? 1 and 2 and triplet 4 and just like that. So you got the long note. That's kind of what you're going for there. Little handy little Irish triplet there, you know? And you can slur it if you want. I don't. I like to single bow it because then it has that little joggity sound. See that? If you slur it, you lose that joggity sound. The slurring sound is nice too. Some people prefer it. Leave it up to you, of course. But for me, I like to separate them. See, very Irishy sounding when you do it like that. Okay? Does that help, Deborah? Good, good. Anybody else having any problems when we went fast there that you would like me to help with? I can't really help with existential problems, like if your parents didn't encourage you when you were little or anything like that, but, you know, maybe I could, I don't know. But if it's fingers or hands, I can help. Okay, let's give her one more go before we leave it. And we'll work on Big John. Next time, we're definitely going to do the Plains of Boyle. Okay? And I'll play it. After we're finished doing this, I'll play it for you so it's recorded. And I'll find a good version and we'll start working on it next week.
I sent you the version you sent us once before.
Oh, did ya?
Yeah, it's in your email.
Aren't you clever?
It was in a folder with your name on it.
That's great. That took a lot of work off of my plate. Thank you, Susan. Anything else like that that occurs to you, please keep it in mind. Okay, little tiny bit faster. All right, this is going to be Kaylee speed. So picture a bunch of crazy Irish people square dancing in front of you. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty? Cool. We'll keep at it, and we'll add the Plains of Boyle to it. Okay? Yeah.
When it comes to learning speed, for me, like I play your recordings at speed over and over again, even though I'm not even close to it. But I think that helps. Even I say to myself, "Oh, I got 2 notes instead of 0."
Absolutely, yes.
That kind of thing. So it gets in your brain. Somehow it's got to get into your brain, I think.
You're absolutely right there, Jocelyn. And, you know, the fact that, like, you're playing along even though you can't, that is so good to do. And it's good that you're not discouraged by it, you know, like a lot of people are. And when I was playing Irish here in Toronto, you know, because I had to learn, when I moved here, it was all Irish all the time, very little Scottish music unless you're a piper. And so I had to learn the style and the language real quick, you know, like real. And so I did that. I played along with recordings. I played along with the D. Dannon recordings. Do you guys, hopefully you guys all know about D. Dannon, right? No? Oh, okay. Well, it's actually, you're gonna love this. So, D. Dannon was one of the Irish super groups from the 70s, from the late 60s and 70s. There's a few of them. The Bothy Band is another. The Chieftains came along at that a little bit earlier than that time, but these are Irish super groups. They still go, right? And D. Dannon was one of the most famous ones, especially in Ireland. They used to do covers of pop tunes and everything. They had special guests, and it was really, they won Eurovision one year. But anyway, it was made up of, the main part of the band was a guy called Frankie Gavin. And he's a good friend of mine. He's been a friend of my family for a long time. My brother Paul made 2 of his records. And he has the Guinness World Record for, first of all, he had polio when he was a little fella. And so he has a bit of a hunch, and he drags one of his feet a little bit. And he has this kind of little man complex. Like, he's kind of like this he's kind of like Napoleon, you know what I mean? And so he got the Guinness World Record for playing Fox Hunter's Reel at 150 beats per minute. Note perfect, with all the cultus ornaments in there, right? So that's kind of his level of playing. He's an incredible. He won the All Ireland on flute and fiddle at the age of 17. And I know I have a couple of 17-year-old players in my class right now, 17, 18-year-old players. And so I don't know, next time you have a chance, you guys should go for the All Ireland on flute and fiddle, if you can play the flute. But anyway, so incredibly talented guy. And he played with a fella called Jackie Daly, who's an accordion player. And their backer was called Alec Finn, and they were amazing. You would love the music. Just go on YouTube, look up D. Dannon. All of their records are on there. They're all really famous, and so that's where I started, because that's what everybody was talking about when I went to the session, talking about D. Dannon from the 70s and stuff. So I put those recordings on, and I tried to play along with them. They're going 120 beats a minute because it's West Coast Irish music, and they like it fast there because they're all dancers. And I thought to myself, how can they even do this? You know, this is insane. And then I talked to my brother Paul, and he made me realize that I was trying to play along to a band that tuned their instruments up to E flat, and I didn't know that. So I was like, my pinky was going a mile a minute, and I couldn't understand, because Frankie Gavin, like, he's such a little fella, I didn't even think he had 2 knuckles on his pinky. I thought he only had 1. But somehow he's flying through these E-flat tunes at 120 beats a minute, and my brother Paul told me, no, they tune their fiddles up a half step. And they've been doing it in Ireland since the 60s, apparently. It changes the sound of what you're doing. And it's really kind of cool. It makes it kind of a quality. But yeah, so doing that exercise of trying to play along, getting at first, my first attempts, you're getting like half the tune for me anyway. And you know, after that, more and more attempts, you're getting more and more of it. It's like target practice, right? The more you do it, the more you get. And so for me, it was the only thing that got the old people at Dorokeos to stop glowering at me when I was playing, you know? That was the thing that did it, to make my accent right. Yes, Deborah?
Don't they also play at 4:45 as well?
Well, I don't know about the Irish people, but some people do. It depends on where you're from. Like the orchestras in Europe traditionally tuned to 330 or 439 or 438. In Montreal, for instance, they do 439 still.
I had a teacher in Germany, and she played in an orchestra, and they played at 445.
Well, that's apparently Asia. In Asian symphonies, 445 is very popular, and it has to do with the aesthetic of the place you live. Like in Asia, the aesthetic is very high pitched. It has all of their singing and everything has an edge to it, and so they prefer, because our friend Ryoichi plays for the Sapporo Symphony. He plays tuba. He's a friend of Jennifer's, and they tune to 445 over there. So it's a range, you know. But this is different. This is a complete transposition, is what D. Dannon and many. It has to do with the accordion, eh? The button accordion, they only have a couple of keys. And so when Jackie Daly was using this particular accordion, Frankie Gavlin would have to tune his fiddle up to meet it, okay? But anyway, to address what Jocelyn was saying, it is a really, really good thing to do. Now, D. Dannon might be kind of jumping right into the fire. There's some easier stuff to do to get your accent right and to get it working right. But I do recommend doing that. Put my fast recordings on and play what you can and don't play what you can't. Listen instead. And the next time around, you might get that thing that you couldn't play the first time around if you listen to it. See what I mean? So, excellent, Jocelyn. Very good. Keep doing that. And apparently on YouTube, you can slow me down if you need to. Okay, Big John McNeil. Let's quickly, or not so quickly, practice our A major scale and arpeggio, for God's sakes. If we have a hope of getting through Big John, let's practice that scale and arpeggio. Here's your low A in case you need to tune to me. Because if you start A major on the wrong note, you're pretty well screwed. Okay, let's go nice and slow. Ready? And... Arpeggio, ready, go. Okay, how's everybody feeling about A? It's a challenging key, especially at the bottom. Everybody okay with it? All right, you know what that means. Faster. Here's your A again. Okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3, How's everybody feeling at that speed? Did it suffer for anybody? No? Little bit faster. Little bit faster. Here it is again. Okay. A 1, 2, 3, Feeling good? Okay, good. So now, can anybody remind me how fast we were getting Big John going there last going off? Anybody give me an idea?
It wasn't fast, it was slow.
Let's see here.
I don't remember it being that fast, but towards the end maybe you did.
Yeah, we went slow because of tuning. We wanted to work on getting it nicely in tune. Dum dee da dee da 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 da. So let's back her up. We're gonna do it at 65. Okay, that sounds like the yeah.
So Dan, this song, the thing that gets me about this song is I find it painful to play. Like I find on my body it's painful to play this song.
Because of the low part?
Well, because the way you're twisting your arm, I find it very uncomfortable. I don't know how others feel, but I do find it very uncomfortable to play this song.
Okay, couple of things about that. First of all, when you change over to the G string, it's very important that you do it with the elbow, okay, rather than the hand. Now that's one of the first things that can really bother people in the key of A. If I reach over for the G string with my hand, I put a strange pressure on my hand and my fingers come down in a way that they don't normally come down. See that? It's kind of flat fingered and squishing down. And that can cause a lot of tension on the left arm. The whole left arm can get tense because of that. So you really got to move the whole typewriter apparatus over to the G string. See that? Right like that. Some people have to crank it right over. You know, other people it's just a little bit of a lean. For me it's about kind of in the middle. But you see, this is how you change string to string. See that? And then it's easy. Then you don't have to change anything about your left hand at all. Like it just comes down, as my dad used to say, as if you were normal. And you don't have to do any weird calisthenics, you know. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you're in the key of A, you got to keep that finger down for a lot of it. And this tune is no different. The whole first part of the tune, that first finger's down and stays down. See that? I didn't have to pick it up once. Now, if you keep that finger down, which you should, you got to be careful not to do this. See that? Squeezing on the damn thing and holding it real tight. Because all of the left arm tension, for me and most people, most of the left arm tension is caused by this. Squeezing on the neck of the fiddle with the thumb. See that? Which you shouldn't have to do at all, right? Your left thumb, everybody thinks you have to press against your thumb to get the note, but you don't. You just poke. The thumb doesn't even need to be there. Okay? So if you're gripping on that neck with the left thumb, it's going to cause tension right through your whole arm. And if you're reaching over with your hand as well, it's going to double that tension. So scooting it all the way over and having a light touch for the one. So when I play my G1, like I'll turn my tuner on just so that you guys know I'm not lying. But so that's bang on the money in tune there. I have, I would say, 70% pressure down with my finger when I play that low A in tune. If I pressed it down all the way, it's sharp. Okay? So I have about 70% pressure on my finger. If I have more than that, it's going to get tense. It's going to get really cramped and tense. So you want to use just the right amount of force to get it in tune and no more. Okay? Because we're fiddle players. We're extremely lazy. We're trying to we're trying to put one finger down and play most of a tune, you know, like, and hopefully somebody else going to the bar for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way we kind of work as fiddle players. You're always trying to take the work out, you know, and so that's going to help. The other thing is, if I hold my finger down to play this tune, because if I don't, then it's got to do so much hopping that first of all, it'll impair your accuracy with intonation, because once you get a note in tune, you want to leave it there, you know. And then the other thing is that it's tiring to hop up and down with your first finger all the time. So you want to put it down on those two strings and leave it there. And that could help you, Deb. That could help you with reduce tension with the left hand. But you make a good point, and you're not alone. So many people complain about that tension in their left hand, especially with the key of A. Okay?
I also wonder about in the score that I have, the A's that could be open are marked as 4.
No, death.
Yeah, because I thought that might help as well. I mean, crossing is one of my worst things, but it also less tension in the left hand.
Exactly. And the thing is about the fourth finger, you bring up a very good point, Elizabeth, and this could be for other people that are classically trained or whatever. We hardly ever use our fourth finger in fiddle music. Hardly ever. Because the classical guys that I know, which I know many because my wife plays Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony and other symphonies, and I pick their brain all the time, they never play an open string. If they can avoid it, they don't do it because they don't like the sound. As opposed to... And you can hear the fourth finger's warmer, right? It's a shorter string length, so it gives you a nice warm sound, and classical violinists much prefer that. But we don't care about that. We need to belt the notes out. We need them to be strong and punch out in a crowd, right? So we much prefer the open strings. And the other danger that you talk about, Elizabeth, yeah, maybe it'll make it a little bit easier than all the string crossing, but string crossing is something we want to get really good at as fiddle players. Like, we need to do it all the time, and we need to do it in a hurry. Now, watch my right arm when I play. See if I can, yeah, this is good. See that? Lightning speed, but no big movements at all. Just little tiny movements is all you need to do that string crossing, okay? Keep working on it. It's a slow process. Getting good at string crossing is a long-term goal, so just keep working on it. I have exercises. Okay, I think I talked about them. Down on the G, up on the A. No arm. Down on the G, up on the A. Down on the D, up on the E. Up on the E, down on the D. Up on the A, down on the G. No arm. No funky chicken, not allowed. With some people, this is my doorway here. So some people, they do it in the doorway. Very good. To keep that elbow from doing all that moving that you don't need it to do. That's kind of the best way to practice it. There are other exercises. There's this one here, silent string crossings. Suzuki exercise, very, very good. Again, none of these are any good if you don't pay attention and make sure you don't do it with your arm. Because the right arm is very difficult to work on because you can't see it. So you could think that you're doing this, but actually you're doing this. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind. So silent string crossings, because you don't want to drag the bow over to that next string, you want to put it there. Okay? And then the other thing is, you pick a pair of strings and you just try really hard to do it just with your fingers. It's ABBA, right? It's ABBA. I can't remember which song. Mamma Mia, I think.
Or is it Money, Money, Money?
Money, money, money. I think it's money, money, money. And here it is in a different key. In a different key. This is Scottish money, money. Okay, those are 3 really good string crossing exercises if that's what's getting in your way when we go fast. Okay? Let's try her again. Or let's try it. We haven't even tried it yet. So I'm going to put my metronome on here. It's at 65. Okay? So you can trust that I'm not speeding up. And it's going to sound like this, everybody. Okay, ready? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, pretty good. Everybody's kind of getting along just fine at 65. Anybody having problems? All right, well, we're going to crank it. Yes? Problems?
I'm just not reading the notes fast enough.
Stop reading. Use your ear. And it's all scales and arpeggios. When in doubt, play an arpeggio in the key of A. It's probably the right part of the tune. And if it's not, just play a scale. Yes, Karen.
Yeah, Dan, do you have anything with the bowing, like sheet music with the bowing on it, or maybe?
You never see sheet music with bowing in our music, do you? Ever. And it's because now, but I'll tell you, I won't leave you hanging, Karen.
I'm watching you and I'm catching a few bits that makes it easier.
Yes, and I will mention them right now. And they are elements that we run into with every reel you play. Okay? Now the first one is the up-up. See that? So you got a long note, you got a quarter note. The next 2 eighth notes you're going to have to do in an up-up. And then your string crossing will be just dandy. See that? It all works out and the down bows do the string crossing for you. Okay? So that's the first thing is that. Up, up after a long note. Okay? Now, what else though? That's pretty well it for this tune. That's pretty well all the bowing that you need.
Yeah, the run on the E string is what helped me, because when I looked at it on the sheet music, that was harder. But that watching you just bend.
Yeah. Now, of course, there are a million ways to bow this tune, and you take lessons from Patrick Corso, don't you? Yeah. And Patrick is the master of people's different bowing approaches. Like, he knows everybody's different. And he told me one time that he's actually working on trying to say bowings while he's playing so that he can show people the different approaches, which I think is brilliant. What a great idea. I would never be able to do it. But so you know that there's like 600 ways to bow this tune. right? But this way I'm telling you about, which is down, up, 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 down. See, that's an overwhelming rule that will get you through every reel you try to play. Okay? But there are different ways you can do it. Now, let's up it. We're going to up it now to 70. And who did we lose? We lost somebody. I don't know I can't remember who it was, but anyway, it's all right. They can get the recording. Okay. No, that's not much faster at all. Let's go. We're going to crank it up to 75. So that's going to sound like this, people. Okay, in and about there. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, ha! Quick at the end there. I would put that, I mean, we left the metronome behind about 2 turns ago. So I would put that up at, like, the last metronome marking I had gone was 75. So I'm thinking that we were going about 90 there. I'll just confirm that now. I'll put it up to there. Yep, 90. So that's what we got up to. So for some of you, that's going to be a goal that you want to work towards so we can do it like that next week. For others, that could be a practicing tempo so that we could try to get it even faster for you guys, okay? I realize that there's a tune that we should really learn if we're doing this A major thing, which it seems like we're doing, which is very good, which is Trip to Windsor. Have you guys ever heard of that tune? No, some people have. I'll play it for you quick. So that's and it was written by this man here, Dan R. McDonald, from Cape Breton. He wrote thousands of tunes, and they say he was autistic because they didn't know about that then. But he had a few of the symptoms, like he couldn't look at anybody while he was talking to them. He'd always have his eyes closed, you know, while he was speaking to somebody. He also couldn't really function. He had no job or anything. He lived with people and kind of sponged off people his whole life. And he was just very brilliant. And so they say now that he was probably autistic. But if you go on YouTube, you can find a clip of him, a video of him talking about his first fiddle that he ever bought. And you can see all the behaviors there. He's a very, very odd man. But my God, he wrote beautiful tunes, thousands of them. And this is one of them, Trip to Windsor. Trip to Windsor. Great tune, eh? And it uses the whole fiddle. You go right down to the bottom of the fiddle and back up. So it's a really good one to have and a very popular tune. So I'll make a video of that and I'll get that up on the YouTube channel and I'll find a good version. I do have one. I have the Heather Hill collection. It's in there, Dan R's book. We'll also do, I was going to also play you the Plains of Boyle. So let me play that for you now. That's the Plains of Boyle. So we'll take a look at that one next time too. We'll put it with what do you call it? What was the hornpipe that we did? Taylor's Twist.
Or Twisted Taylor.
Twisted Taylor. Yeah, they're all twisted, I think. I'm pretty sure. Anyway there, guys, so that's it for tonight. So we did a lot of working out tonight, and I made you play a lot. So when you're practicing, keep all those things in mind I was talking about. You know, ease of motion, conservation of motion, not moving too much. All right, and we'll check back in next week. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to email me.
Thanks, Dan.
All
Good night,
right.
everybody.
Thank you guys very much.
Good night.
Thank you, Dan.
Great to
Good
see
night.
y'all.
Thanks, Dan.
Nighty night.
Good week, everyone.
You too.